Hello. Here, let me change my. I gotta change my background. Can you hear me? Where is it? Setting.
Yes, I can. I'm also getting things set up here too. It's fun, isn't it?
Right?
Yeah.
I had another one I wanted to use. How are you doing today?
Oh, I'm awesome. I woke up late for a meeting at that was supposed to be 8 o'clock. I was in the meeting at 8:30, but John Perry was very kind and I
Oh,
talked to
that's
him.
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How are you?
students are so forgiving. I'm doing good. That's my background. Like finagling with all the Zoom settings. I'm doing
Yeah.
great. I had two interviews this morning. One with the new student, what's her name? Altamira from France. And then, here, let me change this way. My bed keeps on popping up. I don't know how to get, I think I need like,
Good morning, planet Earth. This is Lee, your host, Lee the Wayfinder, and we are now in episode 15 of Love and Support Sessions. Thanks to the wonderful people at Autonomy Unlimited, and my amazing guest today, Dayna Dias. Dayna Dias and I met through the Autonomy program and through our shared interest in history and the humanity in general, I would say. But we've got a lot in common. And I set the topic or title for this episode to be Calling All Warriors. Check in with us today, and we're interested in learning about where you're at because I have the feeling maybe, Dayna, you'll say something about this from your own experience and perspective on whether or not you also agree with me that our ancestors are with us and perhaps they never ever really left. So, good morning, Dayna.
good morning. Hi. So my daughter's trying to go. You can run around back this way. Just go around this way. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I believe like our ancestors are always with us. Just hearing the stories of where my ancestors come from, my grandpa, my mom's side and my dad's side, like there's a long history. And my mom's dad sister actually did a lot of the research on the European side of the family. He's also a Cherokee Indian, but as far as the European side goes, she was able to take it all the way back so many um, centuries where there was like it was a Irish castle that our family traces back to. I would love to go visit it someday, but you know, there's other things that are happening in the world that take precedence right now. Um, yeah, he's my grandpa is he was born and raised in Missouri and came to Hawaii with the military as a submariner. And my mom's mom, my grandma, she moved from Guam to Hawaii. She was actually going to school, studying in college and Spanish language because Guam was actually taken over by, during the Spanish American War, they had Spanish influence. And so they married here, they had their three kids. And then as far as my dad's side goes, they're my grandma and my grandpa are both of Hawaiian ancestry. My dad's dad's parents came from Puerto Rico after a hurricane. They were working on the plantation over there, and they sailed to Hawaii to become plantation workers over here at the age of 14. And then he is also Chinese. So his popo, uh, she came from China, and or no, her dad actually came from China and married a Hawaiian woman. And that was actually the only way to own land, is to, marry into it if you're a foreigner. So after that, what else? He's Chinese, Puerto Rican, Hawaiian, and then my dad's mom is um, Portuguese, Chinese, and yeah, Hawaiian. But then I did the ancestry.com. I know it's like they're collecting DNA. This was like 5 years ago before I was, aware of that. And I found out that I also have like African ancestry from the north and the southeast, and then Jewish ancestry also, and Indian from India ancestry. So it's like this conglomerate, and it kind of helps when you know where they're from to break down all those barriers that they're trying to create, the division that they're always globalists and through their media outlets to divide us all. We've been around this world how many times, and there have been like different devices of getting from place to place, be it boats or ships. It's a huge eye opener, and I'm hoping that will help to break down the barriers. And you still hear them through the stories that we can come up with in history that's available, depending how deep you want to dive.
So those barriers that you mentioned, what are you thinking of? How would you describe them?
I would say barriers with, like here in Hawaii, um, having with the history of Hawaii, with the overthrow of the kingdom in 1893. So I hear from like both sides, the true ownership of land being with the Hawaiians before the white plantation owners came in and wanted to overthrow the government. So like with my grandpa coming from Missouri, he's received a lot of racism towards him, like the words being "get out of here, you effing haole." And then you have the other side where you have sympathy from both sides happening because we weren't born during that time. And then I also have growing up here, and my history teacher from high school, and I was supposed to learn Hawaiian history for a semester, and he had told us as students, you know what, we're not even going to learn Hawaiian history. If Hawaiians want their land back, they can buy it back from me. We're going to learn the states of America, their capitals, and the capitals of the countries of the world and their capitals. So I think just there's disconnect, and then there needs to be connection again. So again, breaking down those barriers that I believe like the world has put up for us to cause that divide. Because all in all, we're here having an experience, whatever bodies we were put into, and learning to grow from that and becoming one again through me particularly is like natural law, because I was born into a family of Catholics on both sides. So there's that whole idea of going to hell, right? If you don't do certain things, if you don't believe certain things. So
Yeah, right. And if you are threatened or told or judged or segregated or all this kind of stuff, then they also tag along with that some guilt about being a human being or having human needs and desires. And I got to remind myself sometimes that this really is love and support. And we talk a lot about our realities and what's going on in someone's lives, but we haven't really talked so much about um, intimate relationships and I guess personal information.
yeah,
So can you
sometimes.
give us if you don't mind, like tell us a bit about your journey, how you came to be where you are sitting in that room there today, and it can be autonomy or it can be anything that you want to express.
So right now my venture is through autonomy. That's how I found all of you wonderful people. So I actually found autonomy through Mark Passio's page. just listening to his podcast, and I wanted to join his Becoming the True Media course. I wanted my son and myself to join because there was a lot of calls coming out from Pasio, like I need um, a webmaster and a few other jobs that he lists. But I was like, I have none of these skills. There's no way that I can help with the freedom movement if I can't, and just about talking with like my friends and family, that's the most that I was doing, but it wasn't very receptive, and just the continuation of doing their jobs, like they had enough on their plate already. So I what I did was I seen the banners on Pasio's page, the 19 essential skills, and I thought, okay, since the True Media course filled up, because I let too much time go by before I signed up. I thought, okay, I'll check out this 19 essential skills. So when I finally viewed it, and I was like, oh, I don't have all of these. And I was like, okay, I'll sign up. And a few, not a few, but like 10 or 15 emails passed by. And so the last one that I got, I read in Richard's Grow Voice, and it had said, it's help me like learn or know why you're happy with where you're at. And I said, like, I'm not happy with where I'm at. I work at a 8-hour a day job. I pretty much don't have a family life. You're giving your best hours to this job. I mean, I like my work, but I could limit it, and give my best working hours to my kids. It's like, why did you have them if you're not gonna, be devoted to them? So, I mean, there's been a lot of challenges, I would say. And then because like I'm in my mid 30s, almost 40s, so it's like it gets wearing, doing those 40 hours a week and realizing that I'm not even gonna have enough to save up for a house. A single family house here costs like $850,000, and like there's condos constantly going up here in Hawaii. And I want to say like nowadays it's more Chinese owned too. So I don't even know what the connector is going to be there with the technology that they'll be installing into these condominiums, because the 5G is going up everywhere like madness ever since this thing started. But yeah, like right after I got, I'm going off on a tangent, but after I got that last email, I did the blueprint call, set up a date. 2 weeks later, I talked to Richard Grove, got a bit of a plan going, kind of with that question, like, why aren't you where, you want to be? Because yeah, why wasn't I? I have these thoughts in my mind of what I want to do. It's just they only stay there. There's no action. So I was sold all the way after I talked to him, and then I got the letter, that states like the breakdown of tuition, and I paid right then and there after I got it, and I was in autonomy, and I loved every bit of it ever since. Like the community was the biggest aspect I was looking for, and I got that plus more than what I expected. So as far as outside what I'm doing and where how I came to this position is, I don't know, like just having ups and downs in life with my family, with like them doing drugs. It's like I want to get as far away from that as possible and make a better life for my kids, because they need so much more. And I feel like the walls are kind of closing in as far as the fear being raised with the mainstream media, through our government's projects, through corporate projects. And the best place for me to be is on the Big Island, decentralized, growing food, not connected to the grid, being able to provide for a community that I want to build out there with my best friend and some of the other autonomy students, if they want to go out and get on board with me. Because I see so much potential out there, especially with the ideas that are coming out of the community, be it the regenerative agency with Justin's course. What else? Jeff has his course too with ag. Um, Aquaponics. I want to start one of those. So systems. Yeah.
Have you found a place on the Big Island? Is it what's it called? Is it it's the island of Hawaii, right? On the other islands like Oahu and that's their names. Hawaii is that the name of the Big Island?
Yes, Hawaii Island, Hawaii or Hawaii.
Right. Okay. And have you found? Do you think you have an idea, or have you gotten any hints about where you might want to locate? Like I know we're on the internet and all, but like pretty general, right? It can be general.
So I'm gonna be on the southeastern side in Puna. It's a more rainforest portion of the island, very volcanic. Like the land that I have right now, because I already invested in a parcel, and it has ohia lehua trees and uluhe ferns, so it's pretty pristine right now. The last flow was in, I think, the mid 1800s or early 1800s. So my estate is safe, but the estate next to me, like 2 years ago, I think half of it got destroyed. So, taking the chance, but I want to be closer to nature, and I think things will work out. If not, then I'll find something to, somewhere else to live.
I remember the lava flow that was all over the internet some time ago because I taught it in class as part of volcanoes. So I was showing video to my students, and I remember reading the news articles talking about how somebody wanted to film the lava flowing across the road, and so they approached it, and the lava spit some lava at that in the direction of that person, and one tiny part, I don't know how do they describe it, like a bubble or a blob of a very small amount of lava came into contact with the person's shin, right,
Oh.
their lower leg.
Mm-hmm.
And the heat is so intense in that lava that it exploded their shin bone.
Oh my gosh. Wow. I didn't hear that story, but it's like scary, amazing, and I can feel the pain. Like that's crazy. I
I just thought, oh, it's just molten rock. It's just, yeah, that's what lava. It's just molten. It's like, oh yeah, it is, but intense heat. Like,
Yeah, I guess the heat difference of hitting that person's shin, and it must have, I don't know, whatever the reaction was, and it exploded in there like shrapnel. Wow. I thought it was amazing during 2 years. I think it was 2 years ago. I don't know. Time flies by so fast. Maybe it was four actually. But seeing the huge amount of lava flowing through the land, like it looked like mounds. Like I don't know how high it was, but it's amazing. When I was little, I actually went up in Girl Scouts, and we got to see a flow going over the road. Like it was really slow. So it was like more like there's two different lavas. Like generally, there's Pahoehoe, which is the ropey smooth one, and then there's A'a, which is the sharp one that can cut your feet if you walk on it. So that's the general. There's different descriptions though from there, but I got to see the Pahoehoe moving over slowly, over the road and covering it. So yeah, the destruction can be beautiful and like rough and slow, and I don't know. I'm sure you get the picture.
do you also have earthquakes in Hawaii?
Yes, we do, and it's mostly because of Kilauea, the disturbance within Big Island. So I'm sure I'm going to be getting more of that when I move to Puna. The last biggest earthquake that we felt over here, the epicenter was the northwestern part of Hawaii Island, actually. So Kilauea is more the southern middle section, I want to say, southeastern section. But for some reason, like the earthquake happened on the northeastern part. But I was sleeping at that time, and I was on the island of Oahu, and when I got up because it sounded like a train was coming through the the apartment that I was living at, and there's like these metal grates that were on the backside, so they were shaking too, and it just sounded like a freight train. I was waking up my dream from my dream. And what it usually sounds like too is like, I don't know if you've ever fainted, and then when you're coming to, you can hear that sound also. So I don't know what relation that is, but yeah, earthquakes happen here. Never like a major tsunami in my lifetime, though we do have the civil defense to give us that warning if it does come in. More damage, I think, from the last tsunami was on Big Island. Not too sure how long ago that was, but no, I don't think there was any death.
So I'm sharing my screen now for those of you who are listening out in the world and are not able to see the video that we have here. So would you be willing to describe the islands to us? And you were talking about where the earthquake was hitting.
Okay, can I move my mouse too? So
okay, you can share screen as well. I could give you the link. All you have to do is choose to share your screen, and then if you have it open in a browser, then you can go ahead and describe it.
okay.
Do you want to do that? You can. When you share screen, if you have set it up, Zoom to set up to have annotation included, then Zoom will be able to show you show a pointer as you are sharing your screen. Okay. I don't know if you have, do you know what I mean?
Let me see if I can copy.
Sure. Now, while you're doing that, would you be willing to tell us about your connection to the Hawaiian language, and you speak more languages than English, is that right?
Yeah, but my Hawaiian language, as far as speaking, is only intermediate. It's where I picked up at the university, but majority of it, especially transcribing, has been through the work that I do as a title searcher for a title company, a title and escrow company, and I've been doing it for over 10 years. And so I love it because I get to learn history that not a lot of people learn through school, like private or public. It's basically me getting tasked with looking at a particular parcel of land. So probably the last time that history was ever gone over was when that deed was created, or if the family itself knew of, who their ancestors were and who it was passed down to. Other than that, it's pretty much uncovering history as I thumb through things in the Bureau of Conveyances or the archives, Hawaii State Archives, and also the court system from Big Island to Maui to our island, Oahu, and Kauai. So yeah, I'm trying to find that where I can access it. Maybe I don't think there. I have to figure it out. I think on when I'm not on Zoom.
Now that I'm sharing my screen again, yeah. Can you see what I'm sharing?
Yeah, I see what you're sharing. So
can you see my mouse pointer?
Yes.
Okay. And so when you say the big island, Hawaii Island, it's this one?
Correct.
Okay.
So Puna side, Kilauea is where that brown spot is, actually. Hawaii Volcano National Park. So it's in there. And then Puna, the specific area that I'm going to be moving to is Pahoa. So Pahoa, it's at the edge. Yeah, over there.
Right on.
It's going to be in a state, at least I'm going to have the ability to communicate with you, because there's a huge cell phone tower that they just built in that estate. I would love to have no parameters as far as what I can build on my land. There's a certain amount of square footage, and I would love to have a freedom couch, like how they're gonna have or in New Hampshire, there's that movement for the Free State over there that I just learned about. Like I had no idea about Pork Fest, but I would love to break down the HOA, it seems like, rules that are in this estate that I'll be going to, because we need like
When
indoor plumbing, and I don't have to hook up to the electric grid, so that's awesome.
when you say estate, could you tell us more about what that means and where, if you know, where that comes from?
I'm not too sure where that name comes from. Our estate is just I actually was doing the research. I did the research before I bought the land in this area. Uh, it started with Keoho, Keoho Kalole. It's like an ali'i. And so Kamehameha III gave her that particular piece of land. Like it was like 4,400 something acres, because they're divvying up the land to their ali'is that helped them, or the families of the ali'i that helped them win the war, going from Big Island, the island of Hawaii. That's why Hawaiians are called Hawaiians, because the ali'i from that island took over the rest of the island. And Kauai wasn't through war. It was more like a treaty or agreement that they had come into the fold of the Hawaiian kingdom. Yeah, that island, Kauai, and Ni'ihau. But yeah, I'm trying to think of the entire chain of title. I know eventually it went to the Lymans, and then from the Lymans, it sold to this California company. And then from that California company, it went into a title company, Title Guarantee. And then eventually they divided all of that estate up. And few transactions later, now it's in my name. But
So, do you have a paper that has your name on it? And
right.
did you sign that paper? And did someone on the other side of that sign to transfer title to you?
Yes, they did. All their right title and interests. And this couple actually was from the mainland that I bought the land from.
Wow.
There's a lot of people from the mainland or outside of Hawaii that buy parcels of land, and they buy it because they eventually want to come to Hawaii for retirement, and build their dream house. For some reason, or they don't make it all the way out here, and the land just kind of sits open, and uh it passes down through like gift deeds, where there's no money paid. It's just to my son or whoever the heir is that it's going to go on to, because of course the county is always looking to make money. Like, who's going to pay this? you know
Yeah. And even if you have decided for yourself not to be a robber baron or a pirate, the system encourages certain types of behaviors and understandings because the way that it is set up and designed and what requirements that they attempt to push in on or in people's direction, right?
yeah, I mean, I would love to get away from not paying taxes, but there's always that threat through um, violence that they'll come and take even more than what they asked for. So I mean, I want to get disconnected as much as possible, and the only way that you can make a change is peacefully and changing people's minds. So just learning about our rights as living, breathing men and women, um, that are the first thing that we have is our bodies as private property. And then for them to like violate us by asking us for our hard-earned money that they had no part in making, it's just wrong. And it's a yearly, or well, it would be with private or land. it's twice a year, you know. So instead of that once a year with from our federal, you know, our taxable income here. So there's strides to be made, and Hawaii is more a democratic state also. So I have a lot more pressure coming from like family to do and stick with what it is, what we've been taught through all these years, you know. Don't rock the boat, pretty much. Get your vaccine and be a good slave.
So you mentioned earlier natural law, and I've heard you in our conversations previous to today talk about sovereignty as well. So where are you at with your own understanding of what it means to be a human being alive in 2021?
Well, it's definitely testing those boundaries. It's like I want to say certain things at certain times, especially about mask wearing. Like I don't want to do it, but there's the idea like I still need to make a living, um, and to pay for food and shelter. And so like I'm in violation of natural law with me not being in alignment with my what I think, what I feel, and how I act. And so there's still like that being bounded by the boxes that they create for us. And i would I think there just has to be some type of, you know, 100th monkey effect where I teach this and then my kids teach this, or whoever I come across to, uh, letting them know what exactly natural law is. It's not violating anybody's, you know, it's not stealing anything from anybody, taking their property, or um, molesting them in any way. It's like if it's theirs, it's theirs. You can't come and take it and put them in a state of duress. That's just wrong. It's really simple. There's like right and wrong, and those are certain things that we are born with innately, I believe. So again, like the schooling system, indoctrination system takes it out of us, you know, and we just follow a bunch of statutory laws and listen to authority. So like the creativity aspect and being able to think deeper than just reiterating what they want us to know, it I feel like autonomy is gonna break those barriers down and have me give me the ability to teach my kids what they should know in life and put them on a better path to excelling and becoming those entrepreneurs. And I'm with my nieces and nephews also. Am I answering your questions in a
You
fully?
are, of course. And a lot of things come out during our discussions, especially when we are expressing things, because we're trying to use what we have to, you know, I think of someone drawing a bow and shooting an arrow. And so there's energy that's built up and then it's released. And so when we communicate, that's how I'm viewing it, as the release of this energy that is meant to is sent in a particular direction with with a particular aim, right? But all kinds of things happen during that release of energy as you speak. Different things come up from within us, right? And perhaps also within your audience, your listeners as well, right? So I'm really relaxed in these podcasts because I wish to become even better at allowing or encouraging whoever I'm speaking with to feel so free and relaxed that they enjoy really enjoy their time in conversation.
Thank you. You do provide that relaxing environment. So thank you. I just sometimes I think like I'm going off tangents sometimes. So as long as I come back around and complete the question, give you understandable answer.
Yeah, and it could be that these things that we are becoming more aware of or focusing our time and attention on require new ways of expressing them and different words. Like I want to get away even from the word child and children per se, and think. And I'm also interested in finding other languages to help me talk about these things that matter to me. For example, I was talking with someone about killer whales,
Mhm.
and there's research that says they're not really whales; they're actually um, dolphins, and they are the largest dolphin that we're aware of in the oceans. And so, but I'm thinking killer dolphin. And it's like in English, it just doesn't really do it. And so I was asking my students in Chinese, and it's like hu jing, and then that jing has like characters in there for like fish, and then the hu part, I got to look at the character in more detail to tell you exactly what's going on there. But because the Chinese characters are pictures, they're pictographs, and I
Mhm.
find that really amazing and wonderful. There might have been a time when I or other people thought, "Oh man, that's just so old fashioned," like trying to communicate with pictures, man. Like we got computers and internet and digital devices now, and people can type but it's valuable. You know what I mean? Like, if it wasn't valuable, surely then the people who are using that today would have just chucked it wholesale. Like, screw that. People are learning English now and everyone's going to speak English. We don't need that crap. But they don't. It's still useful and meaningful.
Right. There is power in symbols, when you the further you go back, and like that's what your mind speaks to, um subconsciously. And that's why these corporations have all of this symbology. Like the building that I'm in, it has these hands, like hands like this. But it, for some reason, and I see it, is like they've changed it somehow, the corporate logo, to look like an owl, like Moloch or something. And so, I mean, I don't have a I'd have to show you another time what it looks like and see what you see within it. But yeah, I think symbols speak on a deeper level to us, and um, like it's like our primordial beginnings, from the triangle, being the blade, to the upside down triangle being a chalice, and having the female and male energies. And then I don't know, there's something deeper to be had with it.
Those hands that you were describing, is that a logo or
Oh yeah, it's a logo. It's I forget what it's Pacific Guardian. It's the Pacific Guardian logo. And it didn't it I had it as an insurance before, and the logo maybe during the 2005, 7, it was more of a solid, and it actually looked like hands. Now it has like this crazy looking heart that looks like the nose of an owl. I don't know. You'd have to. I'm sorry. I should actually gain the skill of share screening through Zoom. That'd be like my next thing I need to accomplish. Like
so there is Pacific Guardian Life, Hawaii's largest domestic life insurance company. Is that what it is?
yeah, it's the financial center. You can
Okay, I'm about to show you what they got there. And I see the logo that you were talking about. Here we go.
yeah, there
This
it
is
is. That's what I think. It doesn't look just like two hands. I can see like an owl in there.
Oh yeah, I see that too.
It's like it used to be solid hands before. Like the palms didn't look like eyes. That's what I see. I don't know what you guys see. You can tell me after.
Yeah, kind of like a fire, and then also these could even be like buildings, like skyscraper things. But again, yeah, now that I'm looking for the owl, I see what you're talking about there.
Yeah, I always have like that paranoia because it's a financial building, like it could go down. 9/11 kind of ingrained that into me. Like you never know. Like this is financial, what scandalous things are going on in here. I don't know. Everybody seems to be essential workers, right?
Yeah, when I hear insurance, that the meaning of that word has gone through a couple different things in my mind. And lately, I've been paying attention to people who are doing research into protecting themselves from predatory lawyers or courts and judges and government organizations that are attempting to force people to pay them money or would give up their rights or their, yeah, even their life.
Right. I've come across that a lot in my research where there's a I think this was on Hawaii. I was looking in a probate, and one of the chiefs was had said that the woman that was dying, that she gave him the land, but yet she had other heirs, and the heirs were coming forward and had said no, she gave it to us, and it actually came to be. So that was on the island of Hawaii, which was Fifth Circuit. The judge ruled in favor of the chief, but the family took it to the Supreme Court, and that judge ruled in favor of them. So like those types of shenanigans were going on, even between the elites also, as far as coming into a probate and saying like, yes, this is my sister, she's gonna get a portion of our father's estate, and then towards the ends of the probate, you're seeing all of these testimonies in the chamber, and they're saying no, she's not my sister anymore or she's not my sister's, because they're like half brother half sister. So yeah, I see a lot of squabbles, and then possibility of corruption also, are where they're not doing a full search. Some of these reports I come across, it's like somebody did do a title search, but they didn't do a complete title search, where I find more errors coming on, or just things missed. They didn't put in a probate, or they didn't put in this deed. So I never trust another title searcher's report, pretty much. If it comes across my desk, it's going to be searched again.
Some stories that I've read or spent time with, even in movies, talk about the succession of a ruler and how that can increase or decrease the stability that the people living in that area experience. When you so what you're talking about, like heirs and family members or half brothers or half sisters, or those who are recognized as having a claim, which is a really powerful word, right? A claim on that thing, whether it's land or other things that we attach value to. Like when you say probate, is that what you said? Can you
Yeah.
describe that, what that means?
So probate is like when somebody dies, and then you want to find out who the heirs are, or you want to probate a will. So like there was a will made by this person, so you're going to take it into court and get it verified and make sure all the proceeds that were stated in that will, or if there's any questions, it gets like some type of judgment on it, to who it's going for, how it's going to be divided possibly, or if everything was stated within that will, like everything was laid out, then the judge will usually just okay the will into the what is it called, order of probate, make an order of probate, and then everything will move forward from there, and with the heirs taking it, money, or just the land being divided in a particular way through a partition deed. um, it's just another step in the chain. I if an heir, like if somebody died and we don't know who the heirs are, it uh, they didn't convey it before they died, then it's gonna have to go into probate. So a judge can make a, a judgment on it, and a order of distribution to say who is within the family, or whatever, if it was an entity, then that's who's going to get the land. So it's usually like a necessary step within the chain of title.
Is probate a status that is assigned to something? Is that what it is?
um I don't, it's like how there's civils and then there's criminal cases. It's just for people that have the estate of a person, like be it personal property or real estate property. I don't know if like I'm getting your question. Like if it's a status, it's death is the status. The person is deceased. They moved on to the next life.
Okay, so because a death has happened,
Uh-huh.
then it's a probate. Is it called a probate court? And you also
Yeah.
mentioned there's an order. The judge can send out a probate order. Is that what you said?
So the order of probate for the will, like there's a will, so some of the heirs might bring it forward. Sometimes people bring forward 3 wills, and then the judge will decide which one is official. Because they usually have to have witnesses that sign, you know, where they've seen the person sign for the will, or at least their attorney in fact. And the judge will verify that after they give testimony within court saying, yes, this is my signature, I saw him, he was of sound mind, and this is who he decided to give his land to, or personal property to.
And then have you spent time considering your own will or what you want to see happen with your probate or your land or your assets if something happens to you?
I've like considered keeping it in my name, and then I just think that the kids would have to put my name into probate. It depends. I've considered putting it in a trust also, because you don't have to show all the stipulations, like a short term or a short trust that you put it into like the records, but then they could settle everything like behind the scenes. It could stay with me as the trustee until like I get to a certain point where then I could put my kids as the trustees, and then I could say like they would have to retain it for so many years before they sell it, be it after the last of them die, and then their kids decide what to do with the land. There's I'm still considering what I want to do exactly with it. Yeah, it's in the works. I don't think I'm going to die soon, so hopefully not.
So where you're at also in your life, like how would you describe the ideal working situation or the ideal setup for yourself once you're on the main island?
I would want to work remotely, just because I want to get away from being an employee, and I want to be able to like ultimately have my lot set up, have my aquaponics going, my permaculture, a few other things that I'm sure that I'm going to add to my lot as I learn more from autonomy. My container home, living as a minimalist, and have that ability to go hiking for like days, camping out, and then come back, do some work, and then go to the beach or go exploring the volcano. I've been to Big Island so many times as a little kid, once with Girl Scouts, going through like lava tubes and visiting the crater. Uh, what else? I've gone there for chorus, singing to our whole school in elementary, singing to the other schools over there. I've gone with hikers club, and we built fences to protect like invasive species from the goats in Pohakuloa, which is like the saddle where the 3 volcanoes on Big Island meet. So Mauna Kea, Mauna Loa, and what is it? It starts with an H. It's Hualalai is the other one, I believe. Mauna Kea, Mauna Loa, and I think Hualalai. I don't know. I have to jiggle it in my head again. And then I also been on Big Island during high school, besides the Hikers Club, for an upper bound program for science and technology. And we gone down to it's a bay, Kealakekua Bay, where Captain Cook's monument is, and it's a long, steep hike. And then, oh no, It's not shown on that map, but there's good snorkeling over there. It's deep. It's a deep bay where huge ships could pull into. And the story is that a tsunami came. There used to be sands all on that in that area. It's on the southwestern side. Southwest, up more. You can see where it says Captain Cook. Up more. It had to
Yeah,
be.
Captain Cook. Okay.
Or right there, Kealakekua, right above it. Or
Okay.
and so like within that huge bay area, we hike down there. Sometimes people take horses too. It's quite a hike. I'm sure. Take a lot of water if you ever go over there, but bring a snorkel and mask. It's really deep.
Interesting.
Yeah, I've always, out of all the Hawaiian Islands, that's the one I always wanted to end up at. And since my best friend moved up there, I thought it was like the perfect opportunity, since she kept on telling me like, just move up here already. With her encouragement, I'm gonna do it. I'm halfway there.
So what are you doing? What are you needing now to that before that can be where you are spending your time there, most of your time?
I want to complete autonomy and be able to open up my other avenues of, being able to support myself and my daughter um, remotely with the skills that I have in sales and marketing. I've done like administrative work through working at a dental office, both in Reno and down here, or on the island of Oahu. Um, so I'm sure that I'll be able to sharpen them for sure, and then apply them in whatever aspect I can towards the community, or also with do want to open up my own title company. That's why. So I need to make a better blueprint, I would say, for myself, so I can get the wheels rolling.
Right on. In the past, I might have thought, oh, but she's going to have as her competitors all those other people who are using the system in the what's widely accepted as the way to handle the transfer of title for land or assets. But now talking with you, and also where I'm at in my life experience and understanding today, I know that there's going to be a huge demand for your title company, because there's going to be there are a lot of people who want to do things in a way that is more aligned with how you want to live your life and how you would want to help people access the land system, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Because there is a market, and again, I don't think, I'm not sure if I explained it earlier in the our conversation, but it's only because I've been doing so many interviews with all the other students, so it's just my company right now, like that I work for, and then another title company that's doing this. And I'm pretty much, they're not bringing in any new blood, and it's just me as the youngest, and then my coworker that have been doing the long title searching. So there's definitely something to build from there, and I think it could be something big that a community can prosper from. And the educational side would be tremendous if I could make a course somehow to teach others to do it.
So what would you want them to know? What kind of things would you want to teach them?
Because there is a course at the University of Hawaii at Manoa, but the course only requires the student to look up one parcel of land, and I don't think that's enough practice to learn like what a full title search is. Like, we're still coming up with new obstacles that would be called clouds on title or breaks in title. So it's gotta be a course that teaches the different obstacles again that they would be coming up with, and it would probably have to do with consulting also if they're gonna do their own research, and then I kind of like look over it to see if they've done like a complete report. So to me particularly, even though they do the research, I'm gonna have to do the research all over again just to make sure that what they came up with is right, especially if they're starting new. There's been so many times where we brought in somebody new to try and learn title searching, but it's a lot of times it's too complicated for them. And if they're looking through the index books, there comes a point where all the names they're not alphabetized. They might be in that alphabet, but it's only up to that one letter, the first letter, that it's in its right section. But then when you have like the sections that have the most names are like the K's and the M's and the N's. What else? Yeah, that's like the major sections, because you have Japanese names and you have Hawaiian names. So it's like I see it when I look at the indexes in the Bureau of Conveyances. The books that have up into a certain date, it's really nice, nicely ordered, are actually like, no, the ones when you hit like the 1913, it's really nicely ordered. No pages are missing or anything. That's because those books have the names all out of order. So it's things where you got to sit there and look through every single name until you possibly find yours. So yeah.
Is there an ongoing digital project to digitize all titles and all documents pertaining to land?
Yes, there is. It's a slow process. It's been in the works for 10 years since I've been there. They're slowly doing it. There is a backlog, and like it's on, like everything is on the computer. That there's at a one point in time, like I'd say 3 years ago, where they had a company from the mainland. The Bureau of Conveyances had this company from the mainland come down and start to scan all the books in all the indices and books, and it, for some reason they haven't gotten it from that computer onto the World Wide Web. Like there are, some things haven't been scanned in right. There's information missing on it, but at least it's somewhere to start from. But I'm thinking that people probably might take that information and thinking it's complete and then put it in a report. And then if somebody else knew of that discrepancy would come forward, and the complaints would go back possibly onto the Bureau of Conveyances for not providing a complete and accurate document. So because sometimes I find like whole reels of microfilm missing off of what they've uploaded, and this is like thousands of pages sometimes. So yeah, it's a mess within itself. But I do talk to the heads over there, and I get they're trying their best. So I just stay on it and keep that cordial conversations going to find out where they're at, and just being appreciative of the job that they're doing, because their whole system is switching over. They're trying to catch up on everything on the land court side and regular systems. So, and a lot of people are retiring since these new systems are coming in place. So you got to train new people, and there's that window of learning, right? The learning curve that they got to get through.
So is your job, are you called, or did you ever call yourself a title researcher? Is that what you do or did?
Oh, I'm still doing it till today.
Okay.
Long title searcher, title abstractor, historical researcher.
So I love that. Hey, and do you make like document requests or ask people to find things that you think should be on the file, or it's clear to you that they're missing?
Sometimes I ask families if they have their own personal genealogy that I can also add to the file, but it has to be documented also. Like whatever can help me to get leads and help move the project faster, because a lot of these are time sensitive. As long as the main thing that a lot of these people they don't want it to go into quiet title action, because then after that it takes years sometimes. But I just go based on what I have, that I let the lawyers deal with it after, and the families. The main thing is getting them a complete report, so nothing falls back on whatever transactions they do after, where somebody else is coming up and saying that they own that a portion of the land, and then you got to go to court from there. So
Have you also, during your work with this job, has it also led you to travel to different places to get access to different archives or to speak, or do you interview people?
I haven't interviewed anybody as of yet. That would be something great to do, just to get another historical aspect that I wouldn't have been able to get even through the archives, or maybe even tangent to what I've learned. What's been written down might not be what their families have told them. It would be great to get a deeper look at what I found, and then what they could add to what I've learned thus far. um yeah, I mean, that would be great to do interviews. Thank you for that suggestion.
Do you Are you contacted, or is the title company says, here's your job, or this is the project we would like you to work on, or are you in contact with the involved parties, or are you also officially like an officer of the court, or totally only within the title company itself?
I'm only within the title company. I just work with the whoever requests a title search. So I don't contact any of the family members. All of that stuff, if they do have interest, is put as a defendant citation list, and they have to reach out to those family members. You know, they have to send them the documents to let them know there's action pending for this particular piece of land.
Is it lawyers that are making all these pieces of the machinery work? They are taking actions, filing paperwork, requesting paperwork, or trying to get something for a person they represent. Like, how does the machinery move?
Um, I would say like it's corporations, it's lawyers, it's individual landowners, but sometimes, of course, those individual landowners need a lawyer to represent them with languages that they don't understand, the legal language. So yes, it's part of making the system work, you know, definitely. They
Do
get
you
paid.
believe it could be done without lawyers, that people could stand and represent themselves? Or are there people that do you ever come in contact or hear of people that are rejecting any contact or with lawyers, that they'd rather just handle it on their own?
I've heard stories, none here in particularly in Hawaii. Or well, like kingdom people, the people that there's so many different Hawaiian groups that will come and represent themselves within the court system. Some have valid reasons to believe that they own land too. Um, with our reports, there hasn't been any discrepancies though, you know. Um, so I haven't, there have been people that have represent themselves, but it's mostly from individual nations, like Hawaiian groups. That's the only story that I've heard of so far.
Hey, Dayna, are you willing to share any of the stories that you've either experienced or heard about that you thought were really interesting since you began working in that title company?
um I'm trying to think of stories. I think the I haven't done research in Kalalau, Hawaii, like mostly on like the western side, Kikaha. I'm trying to recall. And so the family names that tie in over there, there's a story about it's not particular to a search, it's just like names that I've come across. And so there was a judge with the last name Kauai also. There so it ties in with him, but there's a family that lived on the western side that contracted leprosy, and I'm drawing from this book. It's called Folding Cliffs. So this man's name was Ko'olau, and his sister contracted leprosy. And so the government started to say, you need to move all the leopards are going to be isolated. They're going to go to Honolulu, and then they're going to be moved on to Molokai in the place called Kalaupapa, which is a peninsula, and it has cliffs. So, anybody that was trying to escape and come over, then they would be, told to go back down. Or sometimes I think they had shooters on the top if people were trying to escape. But it's pretty much like the boat would come in, and I heard sad stories about them. Just these people are missing limbs. They're already at the lowest of lows in their lives. And they're just dumped off the ship and told to swim to shore. I'm not sure if that happens all the time, but that's the Jurassic. Uh, so right there, the longer island, that's where they were taken. Molokai, yeah, and then Kalaupapa is like the peninsula that you see on the northern side. Sorry, I'm going forward, and I know you can't see. Sorry, I'm getting used to this tech. And then Kauai is where Ko'olau lived. So it go to the northwestern up, and then right there. So the western side. So that's like Waimea side is the west. And so Ko'olau, he tried to contact his sister, and she had said to forward her objects to her, and they couldn't. Like, he even had help from one of the ministers on the island, but he couldn't contact her. So nobody knows what happened to his sister. Like, she just disappeared. Um, and I'm sure that happened with a lot of the leopards that were coming from different islands. They never even reached Kalaupapa as a part of the isolation. Ko'olau eventually contracted leprosy, and so did his son. And knowing how his sister just disappeared, he decided he didn't want to, him and his son to go and disappear somehow. And he had a wife also, so they decided to live in I forget the name. It's on the Napali coastal. A lot of the leopards on Kauai were going there to escape the sheriffs coming and taking them away from their island home. And so he hid out. He had a rifle, and he started to fire away at these officials coming in and trying to take them away from their families. And he actually won out. They never were able to find him. And he eventually passed away in there. There's some Civil War doctor named Dr. Sawbone that was stationed in that area. And that I seen some pictures in the archives of what he looked like also. Ko'olau. So it's a fascinating story, I think, of what was going on during that time, and leprosy and smallpox, their old religion being taken over by Protestantism and Catholicism. So it's huge changes, currency, English culture, Russian culture, Japanese culture, the whole gamut, because it's central, right in the middle of the Pacific.
Is it extremely challenging to verify who has the correct title to land?
I would say it's not. For me, it's not, like, because I do the research all the time. But I think for other people coming in and trying to do it, like, especially when you have to interpret docs, then that's what the hamper is that language barrier, or not understanding where, how to compose your report, or where you even need to look. I would say too, like sometimes, because a lot of these names were single names, like say Kealoha or Becca, we do have multiple Hawaiian families trying to jump on other people's genealogy. And um, yeah, that's the sad part of it, I would say. They would have to show how their, you know, their genealogy weaves into this family's genealogy, if it, and if it even does. So did I answer your question? I don't.
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
And are you enjoying your work? And when people are accessing these reports, are they do they appreciate the work that you do, or do people seem to find it as interesting as you do?
A lot of times, if it's family land, then they find it really interesting. If it's just a lawyer, then they just want to know who owns it so that they can make their next move to, I don't know, if to do whatever work they need to do for the corporation, be it build something, or they're selling it to another corporation or somebody that has a lot of money.
And when you mention community, are you envisioning that you would want to work on behalf or work with communities to either protect their rights or help them rediscover what rights they may have to land? Or, yeah.
I would do both actually, because I think some of these families don't even know that with, say for example, Kuleana lands. So Kuleana lands are the lands that, so okay, there is a mahele that happened where Kamehameha, you know, this is during, so not the original Kamehameha, Kamehameha the first. The mahele happened during his son's time, Kamehameha the third, Kauikeo Uli, and he decided to divide up his lands because he created like the constitutional monarchy. And so he did what he gave, like a third of the crown lands to himself, just for himself, and then another third was supposed to go to the Li'is, and then another third was 1,000,000 acres or so were supposed, a third was supposed to go to the Maka'ainana, or like the lower class citizens. And so of that million, only like tens of thousands of acres were awarded. And it's because, you know, a lot of the Hawaiians were dying because of diseases that were introduced, or viruses. And then some of them were giving their land back because this was completely new to them, you know, that I get ownership. You know, the Li'is have always owned the land because they're like an extension of God, right? And I don't know why it wasn't completed all the way where they got those, besides those reasons, because that's still a lot of acreage missing from getting into their hands. One of the archivists at the Hawaii State Archives, she did a report on the island of Ni'ihau, which is that small one to the northwestern side of the Hawaiian Islands. And she said that a lot of the Maka'ainana over there were asking the king, they wrote letters asking to purchase their a parcel of land, you know, making their claim, because there was these testimonies that you had to give before that board of land commissioners would allow you to, you know, they would verify that you are who you say you are, and you would bring witnesses to say that where you live and where you work on that, when you're making claim to a kuleana. And so the board of the land commission board would verify. Oh, it's down more right next to Kauai, that little one, uh right there, you just ran over it. That's Ni'ihau. So like a lot of the commoners were writing to the king, and there was no response, she said, that came back to them. And eventually they sold the land to this New Zealand family, and they still own it to today. So I don't know, sometimes I heard from another Hawaiian researcher that once the overthrow happened, the archives was actually shut down for a few years where they were discarding a lot of the records. So there's that possible gap within, history. And I wouldn't doubt that that would be something that would happen. I know we know the Library of Alexandria, of a supposed fire. Like, where did all that knowledge go? Possibly to the Vatican. We don't know, or spread around to whoever was the highest bidder before things went up in flames. Because here in Hawaii, they were actually trying to compose during Kalakaua's time, so the second to the last monarch, a library of all the kahuna teachings, like the doctors, and of that library, one night it was burnt to the ground. So where that knowledge went, did it get burnt up really? We don't know. It's a puzzle to be figured out. Somebody might have that knowledge still. There's so much finagling going on. We didn't have like a whole system of cameras everywhere that are trying to watch us 24/7. So we only know what's been written and put in front of us.
Right. When you say, is it lihis? Are they like nobles?
Oh, ali'is? Yeah, nobles. I've had
Okay.
like a guy that's from one of the lines of the ali'is come in, and he said, to another gentleman, "Oh, you can call me HRH," which is His Royal Highness. Some of them still hold that, idea that they can rule over other people, and so I it's still like we're still dealing with that system. And I don't know, it's kind of sad because they even squabble between each other also. Like, I've seen the sheriffs come into the Bureau of Conveyances because they're like cursing each other out, like, yeah, it's pretty intense sometimes. I haven't seen it for a while. That's like maybe 6 years ago, I want to say.
Listening to your story, it sounds like something from Indiana Jones, like trying to uncover things that were ancient but are still deeply connected to who people are today. So, we walk over the land, our feet are touching the earth sometimes if we're not wearing those shoes with pillows on them, you know, and
Mhm.
so that's all there. This underlying life or structure or reality that people are only aware of in certain times, right?
Mhm.
Do you feel like you're uncovering some of the truth of Hawaii and the history there? And yeah, do you still enjoy what you do?
I do enjoy it, but again, I I feel because my I'm working under a corporation. It's they're willing to take chances on certain reports that should be, or certain land parcels that should be coming across our desk, and we do a full search. I feel like it's the corporations are willing to take a chance for that immediate gratification of whatever $1 million project that they want to build. So for me and my coworker, we're kind of like the only ones that are, and whoever title guarantee the other corporation has in their long searching department, um, still holding up the ability for smaller, interest to make a claim on their portion of land. Like, they, just to bring out some type of name through the history that they could come forward and state their claim, and not even knowing that they had something. So because a lot of the lands are being brought up by corporations, I would say.
Right. And so is that what is driving a lot of these title searches? Is someone or some organization wanting to gain a lot of contiguous land in one area for development? What drives it?
Yeah, I don't know what their projects are, but it is, corporations are being, some.
it was ag before, and now it's building subdivisions. That's the next thing. And then probably more hotels or in condominiums, I would say.
Wow.
That's the driving force.
You mentioned 850,000 for a house. When it
Yeah,
came to land, um, what was the land value like there? Was that part of the decision that you made about where you wanted to live, on what was affordable for you?
absolutely. It's definitely a lot cheaper living in a lava zone. That's why the price isn't really going up over there. You take the risk, you know. And like I said, it was not two, it has to be like 4 years ago that the state right next to where my estate is, half of it got wiped out. So I think that kind of keeps the population boom at bay. And um, I don't think that island would have a huge population boom also because of the telescopes that's there. And in order for them to make like their observations, the lighting, there can't be a lot of light pollution. So we shall see though what takes place in these next years, because a lot
Are
of
there
people
any
move to the, you know, the country where they can have a lifestyle that's not constantly being stalked by the government.
so many things I could ask you about, and that we could talk about. The time always goes by so quickly because the people that are interested in getting on love and support are just so fascinating. I've really enjoyed our conversation. Usually after about an hour or so, I'll say to whoever's in the audience today, if there's something you want to say or ask Dayna, and then now would be the time. So we have one guest right now. Michael, is there anything you want to mention, or did you want to ask Dayna? Are you there?
Yeah,
Dayna, is
sure.
there anything more? Oh, Michael, go ahead.
Well, I was going to, when you opened up, you said something about your relatives and stuff like that, and you said that your relatives are with you. Could you elaborate a little bit more on that? I know you talked a little bit about your lineage and that sort of thing, but are you saying that there's like a spiritual connection, or?
I want to believe like they're, you know, with me, helping me, like if it's guiding me for sure, because I don't know, maybe I should be dead or not, but some choices that I made in life, like I should have been, I believe, but I'm not there. And I want to say like they're guiding me in some form or way, that I have some type of purpose, and they're leading me to whatever end that I'm gonna meet, or ends and beginnings.
Is there any particular story or kind of instant that you have that you got some kind of reassurance that that's the case? I know myself, I've kind of got some of those stories that kind of lead me to believe that there's definitely something more.
I've had ghost stories, but I'm not too sure if it's them or not, or something, some ominous thing trying to mess with me. I don't think it would be them, like flipping over uh my objects that I have at my desk, or voices. I've hiked before in the forest, and we've heard like an old Hawaiian man's voice come up, where he was actually telling us in Hawaiian that he is sadness, he is mourning, like that's his name. Yeah. So I don't want to say that's my ancestor. That's pretty. Okay. That's my daughter. Her friend's calling her. How about for you, Michael? What is your experience? Shayna.
Sorry, not yet.
I've had I've kind of I had a younger brother. He passed away early on, just like 4 months. He was only 4 months old, but throughout my life, I've had quite a few different instances where like a miracle has happened where I didn't die or had a car accident or something like that. And, you know, I survived when I probably shouldn't have. And that, to me, there's something there. But there's a lot more of those stories, but that's like a particular one.
Thank you for sharing that. I've heard other people's stories, also getting into car accidents, and then or having things whispered in their ears, warning them not to go to a certain area, or even animals distracting them. Like here in Hawaii, it's if you see an owl and it's warning you that maybe a car is coming from the opposite direction that's might be hitting you if like you're on a lonely road. So the thing is to like pull over to the side and let it pass. And sometimes there is a car that's driving drunk down the opposite side of the road that swerves across the median and would have taken them out. So yeah, I there's definitely, you know, there's things. I think that there are spirits there of our ancestors that are guiding us, you know. And I'm glad you're still here with us, and he protected you in some way, you know, and brought you through.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's still with me today.
Mhm.
And well, there's a lot more, but I don't want to take up too much time because I know we're kind of restricted on time. But I definitely appreciate hearing the stories, hearing all about what you do.
Thank you. I enjoyed sharing them.
In Canada and the United States, people go into sweat lodges. There are either ceremonies or gatherings where people have a specific purpose in mind or are trying to find some connection with the spirit world. What do people in Hawaii do?
Well, me in particular, like as far as traditions go, I never went like that deep. There are like ho'oponopono, you could say, where there's that element of forgiveness. Because I believe like if you hold something in and you don't forgive a person, you know, you don't have to say it to their face if it's still like there's still energy in the air where, you know, they might not see eye to eye with you, but yet you want to let go of that anguish and anger and past, and you just pray about it. You ask for forgiveness. You, with gratitude, you thank God or the universe for what's been given to you, and you, whatever it was that happened between you and that person, you review it, and then you just say like you want to release it to the world and let God or the universe bring healing to what's occurred between the both of you or whatever family members. And I've done it several times with different people that I've met and had relationships with, and it's a huge relief. And sometimes, you know, they come around eventually, and you know, the relationship is built up again and stronger, in fact. So that ho'oponopono is one of the practices, I would say, that's big here in Hawaii.
Was that something that helped you keep going on, keep living when you had very difficult time in your life? Or was it something that you helped you handle or deal with or work on that was in your past?
It's a slight factor, I would say. Just I think with prayer and reflecting, it helped me like work out issues and talking to other people, and even like living and learning, you know, having those mess ups in life like over and over again until, you know, like it's this system just isn't working. I need something better, and trying something new. So, or like even now, it's like I'm just stay single and focus on bettering yourself, pretty much. Like finding my own path in life to make a better life for me and my kids.
That's where I'm at too.
Oh, you kind of went out there for a second.
That's totally where I'm at also.
Oh,
yeah.
the connection is kind of, it's slowing down.
Sorry,
Your,
hear me now?
yeah, right there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just your video.
Why? Is it better now?
It just went slow again.
Yeah, it just Zoom just tells me, like, puts a little banner on in front of my video telling me my connection is unstable. Is it all right now?
Yeah, it's good. It's good now. What were you saying?
Thank you for that. Yeah, I feel that's where I am in my life also, and that I'm not seeing anyone, not dating anyone, and focused on trying to get things in a better, more, doing better with what resources that are available for myself or for my family. Our family of 3. I have 2 children, right? So we need some things to change, right? And so that's what I'm working towards. And so, did you mention that you were in the past, or you were raised as like a Roman Catholic?
Yes, that's what, the whole catechism and what else? I forget the elements, but all I remember is sitting in church and looking through, the books that we had, the Bible, and finding all the bird pages and just holding my fingers in it and looking at those. But the whole ritualistic is, those standing up, sitting down, singing, saying, repeating everything, all the prayers and stuff. I never really took to it. Like I saw the power in the certain things that were said, but I just didn't like the whole ritualistic vibe of it. I thought it was unnecessary, and again, it's more the exoteric form of what we need to know. Like I wanted to get more into the esoteric form of what was being taught. Eventually I would learn that, but I just didn't have any connection. I knew there was a God, that made, a family, all these great things. But as far as constantly, like, why every Sunday, and nobody practices what they're taught in church anyways, all the rest of the days, like, I just don't see the connection. So we're only Catholics on Sunday, or
those things you say, I've thought them myself also, and that tells me that you are, or you were raised as a Catholic, because that's how it is. That's how it goes. It's this massive organization that says and promotes and markets itself in one way, but when it comes to how it actually operates in reality, especially vis-a-vis like priests and the churches and the Vatican, and what they do is just it's not in alignment with what they espouse, right?
right. And I also think, like, why do we have to wear our best on Sundays? Like, doesn't God just accept us as who we are? So it's all depends on what's in your heart, right? Because you have some people would show up like just in shirt and shorts and slippers. But then you have those that wear the slacks and the pressed shirt, pressed pants, and nice shoes and hair slicked back. And I don't think God judges us on what we're wearing. It's all about what's in our heart, and there's so many questions to be had, and coming across, through time, like how the Catholic Church, all this abuse, sexual abuse to the children, and they're just shifting around the priests to different churches and never really bringing down the hammer on them. It's pretty sickening. So it's
the last family reunion I attended in Canada, in Ontario, Canada, one of my my cousin's wife was talking about a particular priest that is known to the family, and she was saying, yes, there's stories about this, but it doesn't mean that we should vilify the entire system, and the church is not responsible for the actions of this person. And but yet, when you talk about your experiences or the history of the Catholic Church in Hawaii or the United States, there's so many similarities to what went on in Canada or Spain or Argentina or Italy, or there's a lot of the same things happening, right?
Right. Like I've seen in the newspaper that they were asking like a little excerpt advertisement asking for anybody that was molested by this one Catholic priest, that was here in Hawaii to come forward as a part of this case. So that wasn't a priest that was at our church, but I don't know. I didn't really look into our the father that was at our church. So, and my grandparents still go to the church, so I'm thinking that nothing happened there.
Where are you at with that today? And what do you wish your children to gain from the background or your own experience with the Catholic Church?
Well, I don't want them to join a Catholic church. I want them to take, the teachings that are in the Bible, but you have to kind of like decipher what was put in there by men through all their councils that they had. The Council of I think it's Nicaea, and explore what you see in the world and in life. Like, does it apply? Like, I think we have this intuition in us to let us know what is good and what is bad. And I don't know, just to enjoy life and don't be evil. Pretty much that's the theme. And find your way.
Yeah, the pendulum of my life has swung in and out of that. And so at certain times I would say to somebody, yeah, I don't need books or things written or on pages and words to tell me who I am and what I wish to do or what I need to follow. And then at other times later on, I said to somebody, well, do you have any, aphorisms or like proverbs, that you live by? Because I'd spent a lot of time writing down quotations, meaningful quotations that I felt that informed me on what it is to be a human being. Like, do you make use of the Bible? I have the Bible sitting right here at my feet, the New International Version. And then because of people's experiences standing up for their rights, and that book in hand gave them a help, assisted them, gave them a way to reconnect with their personal power. Like, where are you at with that? And is the Bible useful to you today?
I don't read it. I don't go over it on a daily basis. I haven't even gone through the entire thing. All I know is like on a basis, like we know what is good and what is bad. Especially if you look over the teachings of natural law. I mean, I think it's pretty simplified. And there are sayings I want to say that are related to natural law that are found in the Bible, but not everything is, to me, is true. Like, give to Caesar what is Caesar. I would say that everything is God's in actuality, and if you can eliminate that aspect of rulership, we all have sovereignty, ownership of our individual selves. We are our own monarch. There's nobody else from the outside that can rule us, and nor can we rule anybody else. I think it's really basic, and so we don't really need like a book, and like we don't need to memorize the entire thing. Like, there are stories in there, like the story of Job, to continue, like knowing that you're coming, I would say, Like Job, he had all these things that were coming on him. You know, his family was taken away from him, but he was still loyal. Like I didn't see him going out and like killing or stealing from anybody, but he knew like in the end, like his life would be restored. You know, and I can see it with like this CV, the virus, you know, tearing families apart. And then I'm not going to be the one to get the vaccine just because my uncle is telling me, you know, because he got it from my grandparents. Like I'm not going to go get it just to have access to them. They know where I stand, that's why. And I think in the end, you know, like basically everything will work out as long as you're not violating anybody's rights, you know, and you're standing up for your own. Wherever you go to, that next place, it's going to be based on the actions you took here. I don't know if I answered the question.
You don't have to. Whatever you do is totally fine, no matter what it would be, whatever it is, because I select really well from the amazing people that I come into contact with. And so I would never have invited you if I didn't trust that you would be conducting yourself in a wonderful way, in a good way.
My daughter is over here dancing in the corner trying to distract me right now. Yeah, that's why you see me constantly going like this. She's doing the Macarena, so like my mind's going back and forth. Yeah, I'm sure your kids do that to you too. They have ways of trying to make sure, trying to test you.
Totally, they totally do. And sometimes I take it as a hint that maybe I should be doing something else, or that I need to move on into another activity, right?
I'm gonna
rather
talk
than
to her after this.
So how old were you when you had you have one child?
No, I have 3. So my oldest is 18.
Wow.
And I was 19. I was just about to turn 20 when I had him. And so because I was still considered a teenager, like some state workers came in to make sure that I was of right mind and I had everything taken care of as far as being able to provide for him, and you know, wasn't going to go through postpartum depression. Um, so kind of like a teenage pregnancy, I guess, if you can consider that. I wasn't expecting it. And then I have a 15-year-old. He's also a boy. And then my youngest, she's 11.
Right on. Right on.
What are
In a
your
couple days.
Again? Genders or?
My son is 11, and my daughter is next week will turn 9.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a fun age.
Yeah. And we talk about gender and men and women, and yesterday I was saying to them, you know, I'm not sure I want to say boy or girl, but then in my mind I'm thinking, but you know, isn't that not useful, because then someone's designated as not yet someone that should be spoken to or treated or touched in a particular way until, you know what I mean, like this thing of development. Right? But with them, I set up like a, not really a naming ceremony, but like from a transition from from infancy to child, when they came here to Taiwan, when they came back to me here in Taiwan. So I wanted them to have that, because I had been in contact with somebody who was talking to me when I was in like a deep depression. And that's one of the things he was describing to me about these ceremonies, the ceremony of transition, so that to help people move through their life. And I wanted them to have that. And I'll do that again for them when they turn 14, when they take on their manhood or womanhood.
And that's particular to Taiwan, these ceremonies, or is
It's
it
from
something that you found?
It's from the west coast of Canada. And
Okay.
an indigenous friend of mine who we were talking about these kind of things, and how people deal with their childhood, or how they handle some of the experiences that they have, how to do some personal development work, right? And so I wanted that to be clearly done. And the other part is I involved their mother, and she was here at that time, and she was resistant to
Oh,
it.
okay.
But then her thing is often like, no. But if you wait patiently, she comes around to it in her own time, so to speak, right? And
Yeah.
then she'd be like, oh, I don't know if this is, this is ridiculous or something like that.
Uh-huh.
But then that kind of passes away. And what I observe is just that when we're around and she's around her children, then she starts to relax, and things are fine. And so that teaches me that when human beings are together, it doesn't need to be structured or forced or designed. It's just how we are, and we start to relate, unless someone is acting in a way that's harmful to those other people and that they're nearby, right?
Yeah. I'm glad you have those for your kids. Like I think you know, it's big steps as far as having a ceremony where they know like this is, they're making those steps in life, be it whatever skills that they do gain from it, like graduations. I think it's important. I don't know, I maybe because I've gone through those stages too, and I do feel like some type of esteem having graduated from school too. But there's some are more important than others, like becoming a man or a woman, when those incidents happen through like changes in hormones and stuff. It is something big, and the body shows it, of what's occurring. So yeah, kudos to you for providing that for them. And even the journey from coming from Canada to Taiwan, it could have been distressful for them if you didn't provide something as a form of initiation into this new life. So that's cool, I think.
Yeah, because I was raised as a Roman Catholic. I was baptized before I was aware of all of that stuff that goes with the Catholic Church. And then it was like public school, elementary school, and high school were Catholic schools. And then my family also was telling me every Sunday, we're going to be going to church, and you will be going to church. And that continued until I started working. And then I was able to say, no, I'm not going. I'm going to go to, I worked today, or I worked yesterday, and so I don't feel like going there today. But I think really for my father, who was the person making some of those decisions, that I reached an age where he was a little afraid of telling me or trying to control me, that I would resist physically. So
Uh-huh.
he backed off on some of those things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that when you start filling out and getting taller than them, or more, a lot more stronger, then they pretty much step back. That happened with my mom and my brother, because we used to get spankings when we were younger, and there came a point where it's all like, you're not touching me. And she's like, okay, I'm not gonna do that anymore to you. Pretty much.
Do you wrestle? Do you wrestle with your children when you play with them?
Like more, not like more like tickling, not hurting or putting in chokeholds or whatever. I mean, like here and there, but nothing like that's gonna hurt them.
Yeah.
Or boxing sometimes, or like play tapping. So, they have to have their self-defense up.
Yeah.
How about
Yeah. I
yourself?
think, yeah. Yeah. That's like tickling and like that kind of stuff. And some people call it roughhousing. I guess it just, whatever word you think best describes what's going on there. But I think they need it. I've seen like my nephews, and there's like a strong desire to have some kind of that kind of physical contact with their parents, and
Mhm.
if it's not there, something is not quite right with the relationship between the parents and the children, you know? So
I heard stories where it can go overboard. But yeah. As long as it's kept light, we might get more you know, as she gets stronger, you know, just go with whatever her strength is. Just to, I don't know, I feel like you need to know what's out there. That's why. You don't want to be soft all the time, but I don't think at 11 like she's at that stage yet.
right.
Be like really having full on combat with her with gloves, with gloves. And
Do you ever talk about death?
we've dealt with death before, so within the family. So there's been that conversation where they've seen like a dead body, they've seen somebody that they've interacted with, and they've asked those questions like where are they going, you know, heaven and hell, just because of the religious aspects that are still within the family. And I just tell them that it depends on, I don't know their complete life, so I couldn't tell them, but it, you know, you just pray for the best for them, that their soul goes to, you know, the place that they need to be through the experiences that they've had here, and trusting God that God's gonna take them to where they need to be. That's my outlook on it. And their dad has a different aspect on it because he's Christian, so yeah.
Okay. Right. I tell them a lot of, or I mention often to them about preparation, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to help them prepare for whatever it is that they decide to do with their life, their time. Right. And so I don't use it to frighten or manipulate. I just want them to be aware, you know, that's what's going on, or why I'm doing some things or talking to them about things in a certain way. Yeah.
I see it as too, it's like you come into this world and you're helpless. Like, I don't know who I heard talking, but it's like you can't even hold up your head, and you need like your parents to help you. You need them to hold your hand to walk. And then like towards the end of your life, you're pretty much helpless again. So this circle of life constantly happening, the idea of being vulnerable and then strong and then vulnerable again, like that's why we need each other as a community, because you never know like when you'll be sick, when you might get injured. You know, you try to do your exercises or be safe in practices that you're doing, but you know, it's not foolproof all the time, and you build that community and you give them the education to take your place when that time comes, if when it does come. So that's the best that I can do for them, is try and teach them from my experiences of what to do, what not to do. And as an experiential child, you know, that's me just doing it anyways, even though I was told not to do it. So you know, be wise. Don't suffer, try not to. Have a stronger
That's a
bond.
good, that might be the place to pull this into the close of our episode, this particular episode 15 of our podcast today. Is there something, you know, that you really did find that was your wisdom, or something that was given to you that really helped you?
Through this podcast right now, or just in life?
Your whole life, Dayna.
I think, and what we're learning within autonomy is just be that problem solver, be that solutions provider, stay in that frame of mind of even though like, you know, shit may hit the fan, it's like keep up in your spirits, you know, and you'll attract what you need. I think even in the chaos, you'll find that stability somehow, and be able to work through it, you know, have that moment, you know, when like you're fighting and time seems to slow down, you'll find it. They want to scare us with all this fear and, you know, on a daily basis. But I think with staying in a zone of solutions and happiness, doing things like learning to love, being in those tight spots, that you'll level up and you'll grow from there, and sky is kind of like the limit, and no matter what's being thrown at you, you'll be able to just fight through it, and maybe even fighting won't even seem like fighting because you've learned to grow, and it just becomes a skip in the park.
Right on. Right on. So, hey, that's our episode today for Love and Support Sessions, episode 15. I wish to express my thanks to Dayna Dias for joining me today and having this amazing conversation. It's been great. I just can't stop, asking questions and enjoying my time spent with you. It's been wonderful. There's so many other things I would ask you about, and I look forward to having more conversations with you in the future. Thank you, Dayna.
Thank you. Take care, Lee.
Is there a way that you wish to interact with people that might see this this recording? What do you have, or do you?
Website as of now, but join Autonomy and we can talk.
That's right. That's right. And how would people best do that?
What is that?
How should they do that? If someone was interested now in finding out, like, who is this person, Richard Grover? Like, what is that autonomy thing? Or have you had anyone in your family? Like, I think, is it your son that was you were talking about getting him to, or he was interested in joining that other class before autonomy?
Well, I asked him if he wanted to join Mark Passio's Becoming the True Media course, but he said that the only skill that he wasn't missing off of that long list was the organizational skills. So I want him to join Autonomy though, because I just feel like there's things that he can get connected to within here that maybe he hasn't explored yet, because the community is a whole nother realm. And it's like I know with the integration exercises that we had, it's kind of like, yeah, I've done the amount that he told me to, but you want to get to know everybody because everybody has their unique story. So, just meeting people from across the world, that's more than I would have ever been able to meet just traveling, I feel. It feels like you're traveling every day to a different part of the US, or, like you're in Taiwan and with your experiences there, or in England or Poland or New Zealand. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Right.
Nice crazy.
It is. And I'll thank Michael also for joining us today and love support. All right, I'm gonna turn the recording off now. Thank you so much. I had a great time.